It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years' experience. Here is Alex Guthrie.
Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution. I'm your host, Alex Guthrie. We're coming to you live from the world headquarters of Remodel Revolution, deep in the heart of the great state of Texas. I'm here with my very good friend, the beautiful, the intelligent, the tough, don't judge people by their size, Poonam J. Patel. Good morning.
Good morning.
Poonam's motto is, don't mess with the little people. We're going to have a fantastic show today. We are going to have a very good friend of mine on who is a YouTube sensation, even though he's really just a plumber. And we're trying to figure out how he did that. We're going to talk about 10 reasons why remodeling is big fun. Big fun. We're tired of talking about all of the negative stuff. Let's talk about the fun stuff.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah, okay. Well, it was your idea. So Poonam is like, Alex, we have to get off this COVID stuff. It's no more fun. And then we're going to have some tips on, since we're getting this cold, wet time of the year like we're in right now, some tips on how to prepare your house, fix your house up so that you don't feel the blue norther blowing through your windows and doors. So, this is the section called Caulk is Man's Best Friend. So let's talk about, first, while we're waiting on Roger, he's here? Oh, okay. I didn't know he's here. Good morning, Mr. Roger Wakefield.
Alex Guthrie, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
You know what? If I was any better, there'd have to be two of me.
Well, thank God there's not.
Isn't that the truth?
You'd have to share all that success with somebody. I wouldn't want to do that. Man, I'm going to tell you, now, Roger is there's no other way to put this, no nice way to put this. He's a plumber.
Wait, you say no nice way. That's not a bad thing.
Especially when someone needs you.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, it's like, the old saying, where's that plumber when I need him? And Roger is also a YouTube sensation. And I'm very proud to have him as my friend, very proud to have him on our show. And I called him really because I think it's time that we have a discussion about how to prepare your plumbing for winter. So Roger, give us a few tips on things that we need to do to get our house ready for freezing weather.
Most important things, really about the only things you can do to get ready for it are, if you've got water hoses hooked up to outside faucets, make sure you disconnect those. And the reason you want to do that all the time is, number one, when you disconnect the hose, take a minute and blow it out. That way there's no water in it. I remember when I was a kid, our front water hose had frozen and we went outside to play in the snow and stepped on the water hose, and I thought that was really cool. So started jumping all over it, and it just started cracking and falling all apart. Needless to say, Dad did not think that was very funny. But if you get the water out of it, it won't freeze, it won't break. You'll still have that water hose next year. But if your water hose is hooked up to a frost proof, you can actually keep that frost proof from draining. So what that can make happen is it can actually make the piece in the wall freeze and break. And that's
if you leave your hose hooked up to it and you don't disconnect it and let it drain out.
Absolutely. And here's what happens is people leave the hose hooked up, it freezes and it breaks in that 6 to 12 inches on the wall, however long the frost proof is. And then it busts and you still get a freeze break. But the thing is, it's in an area that doesn't have live water on it, because a frost proof turns off all the way at the very back. But if it holds water inside and freezes, you'll get that freeze break there. Now, what happens, Alex, is people come out in the summertime, hook up a water hose to it, have a sprayer on the end. They'll go out and wash the car, and they turn it on. They leave it on at the frostproof. They turn it on and off at the other end of the hose. And then whenever they come to turn the water off at the frostproof, they realize water is just pouring out of their foundation. And they're like, man, I don't know what happened. Well, it's because it froze and broke in the wintertime, and you're just now using it in the middle of summer, and it makes no sense to them. So that's a really big deal.
Well, and when you have a pipe break in a wall, you don't know it's a problem until it's like big problem.
And think about it. If it breaks on a kitchen or something, that's got water on it all the time. But that frostproof only has water on it when the valve is open.
Mm-hmm.
So, you may not even realize you have a flood till later. And then by then, and literally we got a picture from a homeowner, actually it was a video from a homeowner one day, and he's videoing all along the foundation of his house by his back door, and water has gone all the way around everything.
Out.
And it's just pouring out.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what happened. I said, well, you see over here to the side where you first started, where that frostproof is. He said, yeah, I was washing my car. And when I came back in the backyard, this is what I saw. I said, well, you've got a freeze break on that frostproof. And he's like, man, it's 95 degrees. I said, well, it didn't happen today.
That's why it's a freeze break.
Absolutely.
So what is your advice to somebody when they first find or discover that they have maybe a frozen pipe in their attic? And let's say it's not leaking yet, but they know it's going to. Maybe they can see a little crack in the if it's copper, in the copper or whatever. What is your advice to somebody that finds a frozen pipe before it thaws?
The first thing that I would do is go out to the water meter and shut the water off. The reason being, the freeze is not as bad of a problem as the rupture and the water flowing out of it later. If you shut off the water, and I remember I worked as a plumber in the 80s whenever we had the winter that froze forever. And literally we were getting calls to our plumbing company, and we were charging at the time, I think it was $150, $175, which back then was a lot of money for a service call. We were literally going out to the house and turning the water off for that much money.
Good deal.
And I mean, we had 30, 40 calls a day. And it's like literally we're pulling up, turning the water off, collecting a check, and saying, look, call and try and get on the schedule. We don't know when we'll be able to get back to fix it. But that's what most plumbing companies were doing. Mm-hmm. Freeze breaks were happening in every other house around Dallas, it seemed like.
Do you advise a homeowner to have a little repair kit? Like I keep a little not Bunsen, but the little torch, and I keep some copper fittings and solder and things like that. I keep that stuff in a little toolkit, because once you've learned how to patch a piece of copper and solder it, it's a fairly simple thing and can really save you a lot of money from your house flooding. Or in my case, of course, every time we have a big freeze, all my neighbors become my friends.
Well, I'm a plumber. I have a lot of friends too. Yeah. It's kind of funny how that works. I always recommend to homeowners to have certain sets of tools. One of the biggest one and one of our most popular videos is how to turn the water off at your house.
Yes.
You would be surprised how many people, I mean, think about it. That winter that I was talking about, we were charging people that kind of money to just pull up to their house and turn the water off.
This is one of the first things that I tell people, and I do this a couple of times a year, that there's 2 or 3 things that every homeowner should know, particularly the new homeowner: where to cut the water off, how to cut the water off, where to cut the gas off, in case you have, if you have a water heater burst or something. There's a lot of reasons you need to know these things.
And those are things that can literally save homeowners a lot of money. And I love that you teach them that, because most homeowners don't understand is that water is flooding. The faster I would say literally for about every minute you shut that water off sooner, probably saves you $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning if you let it run for 60 minutes, you could be looking at $60,000 worth of damage.
Easy.
Yeah. And I've walked in homes where, the flooding is devastating, and people are like, well, we were here, we didn't know what to do.
Right.
And it's like, well, what did you do? Well, I got on the phone and tried calling plumbers, but it was the middle of the night and nobody answered. And that's why, I mean, American Standard named me the expert plumber a few years back, but it was a video that I did teaching people how to turn the water off at their house that got me that award. And they said, Roger, that is the smartest information we've ever heard. And whenever I went to Piscataway to accept the award and talk to them, I was having lunch with 5 women there, and they said, before we saw your video, none of us knew how to turn the water off.
Well, and I teach them simple things like I had to teach them how to open the garage door when the power's out. I mean, I was literally at someone's house, and she said, I'm waiting for so-and-so to come over here to get my garage door open. I said, why? The power's out. I said, well, here, pull the cord. And I realized years ago that a lot of homeowners just simply aren't prepared for things that you and I think are basic. How to turn off the power to the house if you need to. That's a big one. And the gas and the water and, you know, all these things that you and I kind of take for granted because we're used to it. But people just aren't prepared. It's fantastic advice. And it's one of the challenges I run into is particularly if you're trying to turn the water off, how does your meter work? Do you need a key for it, or is there a gate valve in it? You know, things like that. Simple little things.
And the good thing is, Alex, we're really lucky because here in Texas, we can access our meters. We can open the lid on the meter box. Whenever I go out of the state and talk on television shows or something, I actually have to do research and find out, are these people allowed to? Some states, the city says, look, that's our meter. You don't ever touch it.
Wow.
And my thought is, if my house is flooding,
I'm
you can
touching
get mad at me all you want. I'm turning the water off.
That's right. I've worked on houses where we've uncovered water turnoffs up by the house, like in a garden or something, or we might be doing some work on a front patio or front porch or something, and we have to dig some dirt away, and we'll dig it away. I found one on one of the houses I lived in. I'd lived in that house for 15 years and had no idea it was there. And so these are the kind of things, and particularly if you can't use the meter or you're not allowed to use the meter, then you know, it's good to have another valve. That's some planning that can be done. And so we've talked about hose bibs and we've talked about water lines in the attic. What is we've got about 2 minutes left. Give me some advice, give our audience some advice on how to do some prevention in water in the attic and frozen pipes in an attic.
Water in the attic, there's different things you can do. If you know it's going to be freezing, you can actually take a blanket up. You can also go to, Ferguson.com and go to big box stores. You can go different places and get heat wrap tape where it's like an electrical line you wrap around your plumbing, you plug it in. It'll keep it from freezing. And then inside the house, another good one is if you know it's going to get down really cold. And I mean, we've had those winters where, look, it's in the teens, not the 30s.
Right.
So what I tell people then is if you've got any plumbing on an exterior wall of the house, open up a cabinet. Or if it's a bathroom, make sure you've got the door open where it stays really warm in there. You don't want that shower valve, the toilet line, anything like that can freeze. And if you are in a position where you know it's really cold and it's the north side of the house, maybe even allow the tub, the faucet, or even on a toilet. I've actually taken a toothpick and stuck up under a flapper just to keep it running every now and then so those exterior water lines did not freeze
Just
up.
like Grandma did. That's what Grandma did.
It's whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes.
They opened the cabinet doors and they left the water running. We really appreciate you taking time out for us this morning. That's such great advice. And we're so happy about your success and continued success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alex. I
Thanks,
appreciate the
Roger.
opportunity to be here.
Have a great day, buddy.
All righty, sir. You too.
We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the happy part of remodeling your house. There are reasons to be happy when you do it. We'll be right back. The hardest working and arguably most important system in our homes is our air conditioning and heating system. It heats the air, it cools the air, and it filters the air. That's why it's so critical to have it checked and maintained by the very best professionals available. It's time to contact Total Air and Heat at totalair.com. Get that system pruned and tuned. If you want to have the very best experience, you've got to hire the very best company. Total Air's employees are honest, well-trained, and thoroughly background checked. I never have to worry about sending their technicians out to my clients' homes. Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Total Air and Heat has been a fixture in North Dallas for over 60 years. Total Air is a proud dealer of the Trane air conditioning systems, and you know how hard it is to stop a train, so give them a call at 972-881-0020. That's 972-881-0020, or contact them at totalair.com today. Sometimes when you decide to remodel your house and you talk to your neighbors or friends or even contractors, it sounds like it's just nightmare from day one. And now last week we talked about the mood. We had a mood chart on.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked about how at the beginning of the project, it's really fun, but sometimes by the time you get to the end, war's broken out.
Yeah, it's quite the emotional roller coaster. You guys should check out the last episode if you haven't. We talk about the timeline of a renovation and the client's emotional and mood state. It's actually pretty fun.
It's pretty, yeah, and it's actually really accurate. It's really true because you go through all these emotions. But I really wanted to talk about some of the things, 10 great things, and this came out of my wonderful mind last night. 10 great things about remodeling.
Sounds great.
My first on my list is getting to know your team. And so your team is your designer, architect, homeowner, contractor. And when you're first getting to know everybody and you're kind of having your meetings and your planning meetings and things, and you're sharing ideas and everybody's just going, wow, we can do this. You and I look at a space, a contractor and designer and architect, we look at a square box. We look at a blank piece of paper and we go, we could put anything we want on that piece of paper. What is it? What's going to make this really pop? And so it makes it gets your juices, your creative juices going and your fun juices. And you start thinking about, last time we did a house 5 years ago and we had the same scenario and blah, blah, blah. And we did this and that and it worked. And so there's this real positive vibe going.
Yeah, I mean, the clients are happy because they get to experience a journey to transform their space that helps meet their lifestyle, their needs in terms of how it functions. And so it's a very fun moment because you get to think about the future and plan for it, and couples get to do it together. It's actually one of the most fun couple things one could do, which is, plan a remodel for your home, because you get to really think out the details of how you want the next chapter of your relationship to move forward, whether it's, a husband retiring and wanting to cook more and he wants to do it, what's that thing called? Hibachi style. Go for it.
And the wife says, sure, go for it, buddy. We're putting your kitchen outside. Okay. Spending time and building a relationship with your clients. Now, this is part I really like because for me, remodeling is a very personal kind of thing. I see it totally different than building a house. We're building a house from the ground up. I love doing them. They're fun, but it doesn't have the same personal touch as remodeling. It's not as personal. You're just not getting into that day-to-day stuff, or maybe you're making your remodel changes for a specific reason. Maybe it's, could be a mother-in-law room, or, it's a very personal thing. So you get to know your client.
Yeah, I absolutely love working with my clients. They're such interesting and amazing people. Like one of my clients, he's, I forgot what kind of engineer he was, but we had experienced a lunar eclipse. and we would have had to drive to Kentucky to go see it, which we did. But he was able to create like a magnifying glass and the lighting to show the reflection of it in Dallas, so that we could see the eclipse on the table.
Oh, cool.
And that was pretty fascinating. And then I have a client who wrote a book during a renovation, so I got to experience that journey with them.
Did they put your name in it?
They had asked me to be on the cover, but I was like, I'm pretty sure you could find something a better cover than me.
I don't think so. I hope they did that just so they could sell a lot of them. Okay. Having fun with the workers. Now, I, of course, grew up with a hammer in my hand. And so when I'm on a job site, I just feel this special sort of kinship with the workers. We talk the same language until they're speaking Spanish, and then they think I don't understand. I love getting to know the workmen, because again, one of the things about remodeling is, again, the personal part of it, and the sort of building and the community of it. And you get to know really cool people. The workmen all have stories. The homeowners have stories. We have stories. It's really, really fun to get to know them. And now you've been putting some stuff. Now, Poonam actually has been, if you go to urbanloopstudio.com, you will see Poonam on a ladder. I don't know what that's about.
No, it was stilts.
You're on
the things that you
stilts.
paint the ceiling with.
Honey, you have to have stilts to get to the dining room table. Or you were actually got on one tall enough to get to the ceiling?
Well, yeah, I was like, this looks fun. Let me try it. And it was actually really scary. I have a whole new. I have a.
Fall down.
Well, I had to be held. I have a whole new respect. There's a lot of things that they can do that I can't, and I'm always trying to, learn how to use a tool on site.
That's cool.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is, whenever I walk into a job site, is that they're usually playing mariachi music, and I always try to change it to Bollywood just to see
Oh
what
my
happens.
gosh, that is hilarious. Bollywood on the job
Bollywood.
site. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I love it. I think, do they get it?
Somebody usually turns the volume down at some point.
Well, that leads to the next one that I have on my list, which is construction site humor. Now, I will tell you, when I was framing houses and trimming houses and all that stuff I did when I was a young guy, construction site humor was a whole lot different than it is now. Because
Is it?
No, I mean, we still have the humor, but we have to be careful how we talk about it, because some people don't like hearing funny things anymore. It's not PC, is what I'm trying to say. But when you walk out there, they're like on their tippy toes, P's and Q's.
It depends. Each crew is different. Sometimes they respect me. Sometimes I have to
Earn it.
sometimes I have to earn it. And one of my favorite tricks is to just start talking in Spanish so that they know that I understand Spanish. So you can't talk behind my back. And so I love using that one. And sometimes you encounter disrespectful contractors. They'll whistle at you, or and I get really worried for them, because I'm like, dude, you're about to saw your finger off. Like, stop looking at me, And
they whistle at me, I throw something at them. I haven't had that happen in a while. Okay, the next one on my list is the tear out. The tear out is fun.
Oh yeah.
It's like, let's go tear it out right now. And I've gone in there, and I've gone into job sites, and the couple who I'm working for, they'll have a bottle of wine, and they'll go in there and they'll just do it. They'll just tear it out. I show up and I go, oh my gosh, we weren't going to tear out that wall.
I have a hashtag called Demolition Diva. You guys should check it out. It's just me with a hammer trying to wreck stuff. I need to upgrade to, what's the bigger one called? The
A sledgehammer?
Sledgehammer, but those things are really
I don't
heavy.
think you can hold a sledgehammer, Poonam. You,
sad.
you know, the rule is don't ever grab a hammer bigger than you.
I actually bought one and then I had to return it.
So next on my list is putting together the pieces. The fun part for me, and I met with some homeowners last night, and we're doing this project. We're going to do a pretty nice project. And the part that I love about doing a remodel is I like the challenge of taking all these elements and making them work. That's your job too. I mean, that's a huge part of your job.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complex puzzle piece, and sometimes you're thinking about, okay, how does this material react to the one you put next to it? What happens in the winter when it contracts? What happens in this Texas heat when it expands? Like, are they going to conflict? Is there enough gap between it? If you're working with metal, you want to make sure it doesn't corrode when you put it next to something. So it's a puzzle piece. At the same time, it's like each piece has its own set of characteristics that you have to keep in mind. It's actually really fun. Sometimes frustrating, but a lot of fun to be able
It's
to do that.
challenging. It's challenging. So finding solutions and watching them all come together, it's kind of the same thing. But I love the part of it where someone comes up to me, and again, last night when I was meeting with these wonderful people, and they've done several remodels, so they get what I'm talking about. But some people, my saying that I will continue to say is, your house was not built to be remodeled. And so when you're remodeling it, the house is challenging you. The structure's challenging you to change it because it wasn't made for that. And so some people look at those challenges, and particularly people that aren't experienced, they'll look at those challenges and they'll go, oh my gosh, and they get all freaked out. I look at those challenges and I go, okay, how do we overcome it? Let's find a solution. And it's fun to me. To me, that is what keeps me interested. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. I only have one more, but I think Poonam's itching to come up with some more reasons to like remodeling. We'll be right back. Imagine this, a totally customized, organized, and beautiful master closet. A home office that fits right into a perfect space. A pantry designed specifically for your storage needs. Imagine your home totally organized. It's time to call the design professionals at Closets by Design DFW and turn your dreams into a reality. With a design staff over 30 strong, Closets by Design works directly with you to create your dream space, and they build it locally, helping support the DFW community. Check them out at dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010. Use the promo code RRV to find out about the amazing specials and discounts available. That's dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010, and don't forget that promo code RRV. Closets by Design. So when you're remodeling a house, there's a lot of fun aspects to it. It's not all misery. There is some misery. Okay, let's just get that clear. There is some misery, but there's a lot of fun aspects to it, particularly if you're at our end of it, where we're actually creating this for you. This is the part I guess the reason we get passionate about the whole business is because of that. It keeps us going. And one of the most rewarding, wonderful parts of this business is when you're finished and you see this house that maybe you've given another 30 years of life to, and you see the people that you've worked for enjoying what you've done. I actually had some people call me just a couple months ago, some clients that I had remodeled a house for 15 years ago. And I said, warning's up. But they called me to tell me that they were moving. They're moving out of state. And she said, we just wanted to call you and tell you that and I haven't talked to them since I finished. She said, we wanted you to know that we still talk about how much fun we had with you remodeling our house and what a great job you did. We just wanted you to know that. And that really touched me. That was amazing. So we don't always realize the effect. I had a client whose son wrote me a letter. When I did their house, he was maybe 6 years old. But the whole time we were doing their house, and we did 2 or 3 projects over the years for him, he would always be standing behind us, hanging out, watching what we were doing. And I was always going, hey, come on over here, Paul, we're doing this and that. And I get a letter from him about a year ago, and he's now married and has kids. And he said, I just wanted to let you know that affected my entire life and career. He said, this is what, he went to college, he got a scholarship in construction management. And he said, I just wanted to let you know. And I went, wow. I mean,
That's so sweet.
It's incredible. It's incredible the effect that we have on people, and we don't even realize it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts too, when I see a client sharing before and after photos on Facebook, tagging me on there, and then you get to see all of their network commenting, saying, you know, how beautiful it looks. And the impact you can have is just so rewarding, from, you know, not only allowing clients to live the way that they want in their house, whether it's, you know, more entertaining space or whatever the preferences are, but, you know, to be included in their you know, when people take photos, when people take photos in their house, it's like our work is in the backdrop. It's so, it's such a pleasure.
Yeah. So that's our 10. That is only 10 reasons. That's only 10.
That's only 10.
I'm sure there's plenty more, but I'm not going to brag. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, we had Roger here because the weather's turning now in North Texas, turning into winter. We had our 3 days of fall. Fall was over with before the leaves fell. And then I looked at the weather again, and it's going to be fall again in a few days. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's kind of how it goes around here. But it's that time of year that we need to start thinking, when we have some decent weather, we get these cold fronts that come down here. And we're in Dallas. We're right in between where we have the cold air come out of the Rockies coming down south, and then we have warm air off the Gulf. We're right in the middle of it. We're in a very unique temperate zone here. And so this is a time of year that you really want to get out and check your windows and doors and make sure that over the summer, when it got really hot, like scorching 100-degree heat, the caulk didn't melt around the doors, and it's allowing wind to blow in. And so I wanted to give you a few tips today on some things that you can do. You don't really have to hire anybody to do this stuff. You can do it yourself. But there's a few places that I spend time looking at houses that are where air is getting in and things like that. And one of the first things that I notice, a lot of times I'll walk in a house and I can smell attic air. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's just
my house
kind
has
of
that.
musty, and almost every time that's because the pull down attic stairs door is not sealed. It's just basically a piece of plywood that's slammed up against the ceiling, and there's an air gap, a big air gap around it, and it's allowing attic air in the house.
Okay.
And so if that's the case, then just check your attic door anyway, pull it down, and you can buy little self-sticking foam strips at the box store and put that around it. It's just a little insulation strip, and it makes a huge difference. And it's cheap, it's easy. You could do it change it every year. I'm going to do that
when I get home this weekend.
Yeah. The other thing is, when you're running your heat, if you're smelling, I'm just going to stay on the subject for a minute. If you think you're smelling attic air in your house, and there's 3 things primarily that I would look at. One is also around your plug switches and your plugs and switches, and you have the little plastic plate that's on the wall, little plate. a lot of times air gets up in your walls from your attic, particularly in older homes, and it comes out of those plugs, comes streaming out of those plugs. So they also have a little, it's this little foam gasket that you can buy, and you can pull the plate off. It's very simple, 2 little screws, pull the plate off, put the little gasket behind it, put the plate back on. It's very easy. And it seals up all of those switches and those outlet holes in the wall. Every place you have a light or a switch or an outlet in your wall, you have a perforation in that wall. You have a hole in the wall, and they leak air like crazy. So check all of those, as that makes a massive difference in the comfort in your home and the amount of the smell of it and the amount of attic air and dust.
Don't they have a tool that you can rent that tells you like the temperature?
Yeah.
What is that tool called?
You can get there's a thermal imaging tool, but you can actually get a thermometer. You can get a little laser thermometer, really inexpensive, at the box store, and you can actually shoot the temperature and just look at, for instance, maybe on a switch plate, maybe you shoot it at the switch plate and get a temperature of the switch plate. Shoot the wall a couple of feet away and get a temperature of the wall. And you can tell instantly if there's air hitting the back of that switch plate and having an effect. Now, you're going, well, it's just a switch plate. Well, there's maybe 50 of them in your house.
Yeah.
So that one little hole, multiply it by 50. and so it could be leaking a whole lot of air. You also really, really want to get your AC people to come out, check all of your gas fittings, and make sure you haven't developed any kind of a leak, or, if you had somebody working in your house, maybe just changing the filter on your air conditioning up in your attic, and you've got a gas jet next to it, they could have inadvertently, hit something and they didn't know it because it wouldn't be on because the heat's not on. And so you really want to get your AC guys to go up and check that stuff out. The other thing that I was going to tell you that is super, super important is change the batteries in your smoke detectors, because this is the time of year we have more fires in houses at any other time of year, because we're turning on heat, we're turning on fireplaces.
And now they have the lithium batteries, which last a little bit longer. I think it's 10 years
Yeah,
instead
they're
of
incredible, yeah.
the regular ones where you have to switch them out more often.
Also, if you're a fireplace person, a romantic person, like I used to be, get a chimney person to come out and clean your chimney. That black soot on your chimney is like tar. And when it catches on fire, when I was a kid and we lived in a house, we didn't have central air and heat back then. I remember when. My mother one time on Christmas decided to take we had the wreath, the bough thing, I don't know what you call it, around the garland, around the mantle. And of course, back then we didn't use plastic; it was real. And she decided, after maybe a little too much eggnog, to stuff it in the fireplace. And so she stuffs it in the fireplace, and the entire chimney catches on fire on the inside.
Wow.
And burns out. And we have the fire department there. I mean, it sounds like a tornado in the house. You can hear it rumbling. I'll never forget that. Of course, I was just a little fellow, little DB fella. And I went, wow, Bob, what'd you do? And so the main thing, the point of this is make sure that you have that chimney cleaning company come out and check the spark arrestor. That is the chimney cap, and that keeps big sparks from coming out and landing where you don't want them, on your roof.
How often does one need to get their chimney cleaned?
I recommend you have it checked yearly if you're a
Using
big,
it.
yeah. Now, I built a English fireplace for a lady years and years ago, and the English fireplace is one that you can stand almost. I mean, it was as tall as me, and it was probably 5 feet wide. It was huge. It was beautiful. And that lady, in Thanksgiving, the first cool day of the year, she started burning wood, and that fire never went out until the spring. She literally, it was incredible. And trust me, she did. She called me and she said, that thing is smoking. Smoke's coming in my room. You know, it's maybe a year later. And I send the fireplace guy out there and he goes, Alex, she's burnt so much wood that it's completely clogged up everything. It won't draw. And so it was all cleaning. It was some people, my point with this is some people really like wood fires.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. Are you really? So you're a romantic.
It's nice and warm and, you know, you get to curl up with my cat and a cup of coffee.
Your cat?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Does your cat like fire?
He loves any warm spot. He follows the sun
Cats
around.
are so weird. I'm kidding, folks. I love kitties. It's been a lot of fun today.
Is our time already up?
It's done.
Oh my gosh.
We're done.
Time
We're
flies
there.
here.
Yeah, boy, it does when you're having fun. It's been really a lot of fun. Hey, check out our YouTube, Remodel Revolution on YouTube. We've got, I think I looked at 165 videos up and more coming. Check out our YouTube and subscribe. We need more subscribers. And also you can find our podcast on Remodel Revolution on any podcast sites you choose. We're everywhere on the podcast. Check out our website, remodelrevolutionradio.com or remodelrev.com. Leave us a message. Check us out on Facebook. We're rocking. And Miss Poonam, she just did an Instagram because we're on Instagram. We're on Twitter, @RemodelRev.
Yeah.
We are everywhere.
If you want to see what's in Alex's makeup bag,
go
to his Instagram.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Makeup bag. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think with that we'll be signing off till next week. Thank you to all our sponsors. Thank you to On Air Media. Thank you mostly to our audience. We love you and we love hearing from you. Keep it up. Have a wonderful week. Until next week, this is Alex Guthrie and Poonam Patel
Signing off.
signing off.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional. You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, using the handle @Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn, and watch the show anytime on YouTube.